Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Bethany, and here at The Curated Feminine I teach about all things femininity and self-development. Most of us go through life repeating what we have been taught to do through the education system and through our parents, which is go to school, get good grades, go to college, get married, have children, love them, die, basically. That's kind of the cycle that we've been on for a really long time, and there's nothing actually wrong with any of those steps, mind you. It's just that when we're taught to live life a certain way, it can be very difficult to think outside the box and to really think about what truly serves your soul and what really serves you as a unique human being. So if we were to think about that a little bit deeper, like I said, some of it actually goes back to the education system. So I'm extremely thankful to live in a country where education comes easily to me, where we've got, beautiful schools around the corner. I was able to easily attend university. So I understand that it's a huge blessing, but there's a little bit of a caveat with that, and that is that the education system as it stands now was originally created to create workers, and that's it. It's not created to foster entrepreneurial mindsets. It's not created to bring out creativity. It's created to help people learn the basics about, sort of life. So yes, mathematics, science, all of that, but also to create those that work and do what they're told. And there is a beauty to this in that when we go to school, we do learn the basics about everything that we need to. Like I said, school is a massive blessing. It's something to be grateful for, but we don't really have many people that are easily accessible in day-to-day life outside of the internet, teaching us how to create a life that we really truly love and a life that's unique to us. Here are 5 steps to creating a life that you love to really get you thinking outside of the path that is laid out for you. Now, these don't have to be followed in order because everybody has different areas that they need to kind of delve into, and everybody has a different path that will work for them because, again, we're all unique individuals. But here are 5 steps that I think will massively impact the way that you view your life. So for many, the first step is to see a psychologist or a coach. The reason for that is doing step 1 can often make step 2 easier. I'm not sure if you've noticed, but the world's a little bit mental. There is war, we've had massive lockdowns across the globe, we're now facing a huge amount of inflation, so the economy is currently in a very, very unsteady state. There is so much externally to be stressed about, and if you are human, you will feel that, right? If you are an empathetic human being and you just return on the news for 2 seconds, you'll see that there are so many things in the world that are unsteady, that are difficult to swallow, and it's easy for those things to really affect you. Now, the goal for many of us is to reach this level of self-actualization, right? That's fabulous, but there are many, many steps in between to get there. So if you're not in a place where you can look outside and see the doom and gloom and really process it, it is so good to see a therapist. I've got a degree in psychology. I'm a huge proponent for seeing a therapist or a psychologist if you need to. And then a step above that would be a coach. So if you feel like you're in a place where you don't really need a therapist to kind of talk you through normal coping mechanisms, but you need somebody that can really help you unleash your inner potential, then a coach is also a fabulous, fabulous option. So as I said, the reason step 1 is because it's often easier to do step 2 when you've done step 1. And step 2 is to practice gratitude. When you're in a place where you're feeling very dark mentally, or if you're in a place where you feel locked, where you feel stuck, it can be very difficult to be grateful. However, I know people who were able to pull themselves out of a rut by first practicing gratitude, which is fantastic. Now, we hear this term practice gratitude all the time now. It's essentially a trend. And the issue with trends is that once it starts to fizzle out, it feels like it was just a trend, and then it's difficult to see the depth in it. But practicing gratitude is a deep, beautiful piece of inner work that you can do that will affect every aspect of your being. If you're able to step outside and feel the sun shining on your face and think, oh, I'm so grateful for this feeling, or if you're able to wake up in the morning and see your sleeping partner and think, I get to be with you, what a privilege, that is gratitude, and it changes every aspect of your outlook in day-to-day life. Same with when difficult circumstances happen at work. Now, I'm not talking toxic positivity here, but when hard things happen at work, personally, even things like family deaths and things that really truly cause you pain or strife, if you're able, as you move through those emotions, to have a sense of gratitude for where that might be bringing you to the next level as a human being, or where you might be able to use those experiences to help others, that's gratitude, and that's the beauty in it. You can flip the switch on how you view the world if you're able to drop into gratitude quickly and practice it constantly throughout your day. Step 3 is to prioritize your time by what brings you joy. And the reason gratitude comes before that is either step 1 or step 2 is because it's much easier to figure out what brings you joy if you're grateful for what you have, no matter how small, right? Like being grateful for being healthy is a small thing, but it's huge. Being grateful for sunshine is small, but it impacts every fiber of your being. The way that most of us prioritize our time is simply by doing the things that we think are expected of us. So, wake up, shower, go to work, come home, be with the kids, or, be with your puppies, or be with whoever it is when you get home, and then, have dinner and go to sleep. And there's nothing wrong with any of those steps, but it's how you prioritize your time within what kind of quote unquote needs to be done that will have the biggest impact on you in creating a life that you really love. So an exercise that you can do is to sit back and think about what actually brings me joy. What do I actually enjoy? Is it drinking coffee? That's one of mine. Is it having lunch with girlfriends? Is it going for walks? Is it a certain type of exercise? Sit down and write a list of 15, 20 things that you really truly enjoy, where when you think about it, that's something that aligns with you as a person. Think about the activities that you really enjoy doing, and don't think about if you're doing them right now, right? Throw away everything that you're currently doing in your day-to-day routine. Think about what you really actually enjoy and write it all down on a piece of paper. Now, this is a bit of a side tangent, but it's an important one. It's unlikely that what you really, really love is reality TV and watching TikToks and Reels. If you take a step back or take a step deeper and think about the overarching themes of the things that you're watching and consuming, that might lead you closer to what actually brings you joy. So for example, if you enjoy, let's say, $1 Million Listing, which I enjoy, it's a guilty pleasure. Could it be that what you're really enjoying is the element of luxury? Or could it be that what you're really enjoying is the real estate and the interior design? Or is it maybe the human behavior aspect of the drama? If you're able to have a look at all the little things that you enjoy doing day to day, or the things that when you take a step back and you're not doing it now, you'd like to be doing more of, if there's an overarching theme, then go with that. That is what actually brings you joy. It's the human behavior, or it's the luxury, or it's the, if it's a cooking show, then it's the cooking that you actually enjoy, or it's the food and the new experiences. Go deeper to the things that you enjoy when you're consuming content and write that down on a piece of paper as well. The next step is to start planning. So I want you to imagine what your typical weekend normally looks like, or your days off. If it's, let's say, waking up, sleeping in really late because you're tired from the week, and then wandering around a shopping center, like, is that bringing you joy? Do you really enjoy doing that? Or is it just what kind of, is it just what people around you are doing? Is it just what you've been doing for a long time, so it's the easiest kind of default method to fall back to? And then go back to the list that you wrote down before of those 15 or 20 things that really bring you joy, and think of how you can do them in a way that you really truly enjoy. So if it's a cup of coffee and you also happen to enjoy sunshine and luxurious restaurants, could you make a pact with yourself to every weekend have a cup of coffee outside at a restaurant, a new restaurant that has really beautiful interior design and you really, really enjoy? If what you found that you enjoy is new experiences, then make a list of the different experiences available to you in the city that you live in, and start slowly ticking them off and trying them every weekend. If what brings you joy is nourishing food and nature, then start looking up different nature walks in your area. Start looking up different restaurants that are reviewed for having really healthy options for you. And also pay attention to how you feel. I had this experience a few weeks ago where I was exhausted. I'd had a really, really tough week at work. I had not prioritized my self-care that week, and so I wanted to not cook. So we all piled into the car, my husband and my 3 kids, and we drove around the corner to get some junk food because that was the easiest thing to do. There's no real kind of healthy delivery options available near us. And the whole time we were sitting in that car just quickly eating some food, I felt so agitated, so frustrated. Every noise was bothering me. So I just sat with it and breathed through it and thought about why, and it was because it wasn't ticking any of the boxes for me in terms of what I value most, what I really enjoy. None of the things that we were doing in that moment brings me joy. It wasn't healthy food, and healthy and nourishing food really brings me joy. It wasn't feeding my children well, and family is extremely important to me, so that was really bothering me. It also wasn't in a beautiful surrounding, and being in sort of luxurious surroundings, being in nice restaurants, having new experiences, those things really bring me joy and are important to me. So it's like none of the boxes that make Bethany were being ticked, and so I was getting frustrated. And just dropping into that feeling when it comes will give you clues and help you to intuitively figure out what it is that you really enjoy versus what you don't. Number 5 is to let go of relationships that no longer serve you. Now, there's some depth to this. There always is with all of the steps that I'll list. So I used to have this habit of kind of mentally door slamming those that had hurt me too many times in a row and I just wasn't going to have it anymore, or to those that I thought maybe didn't want to grow with me, or I had this very black and white viewpoint of relationships and what they should be. And this is actually a very unhealthy habit and not one that you should partake in. It took me years to kind of unravel why I do things that way and learn to do things far, far better. And I do that now. I now know how to set boundaries with people and how to look at what, a relationship serving me even really means, and how to find relationships that really nourish my soul that I can give back to equally. So when I say letting go of relationships, I don't mean just getting rid of people. It's a lot deeper than that. When you undergo a transformation, like finding that which brings you joy, or creating a life that you love, or really developing yourself and leveling up as a person, you will find that you outgrow relationships, or you'll start to get to this level of depth with yourself that you figure out what relationships you feel really happy in versus the ones that really don't. The relationships that are really serving your higher purpose versus the relationships that are maybe dragging you backwards. So there are ways to set boundaries and really assess that without just getting rid of people. But sometimes this can happen really naturally. Now, the reason it's important to let go of relationships or set boundaries with relationships that perhaps don't align with you as a person is sometimes when you're changing and growing, people will try to hold you back. And it's a really painful fact of life, but it's so, so true. And well, I'll give you an example. I have been an avid reader and podcast listener and student of life for as long as I can remember. And I once worked in a workplace where I was constantly mocked for that. I remember my boss used to say things like, "Oh, I listened to a podcast," every time I brought up something new that I'd learned, and he would mock my voice and my accent. He would make fun of the things that I ate. Because I'm a very healthy eater, he would make fun of it and do whole skits around mocking it. And even if those things are sarcastic, there's, we don't say things sarcastically unless there's a kernel of truth with it. And it really started to affect my confidence. I started to think, well, maybe I'm up myself, maybe I'm conceited for always learning new things and trying to share them with people, or always trying to eat healthy and thinking about how to better serve my body. But then in the next workplace that I worked in, almost everybody listens to podcasts, and almost everybody is passionate about their self-development journey, and almost everybody eats really good food. And I just kind of fit right in, and I'm able to learn from those around me. I'm able to get podcast and book recommendations and different recipes for food. And this is what I mean when I say letting go of relationships can be really important. If I had stayed in the workplace that I was at, I would still be sitting here thinking that I wasn't good enough. Whereas because I chose to move on, I now think of myself as not only are the things that I'm doing normal, but even if they weren't, I can now see past the Bethany that thought that it wasn't good enough. I can now see past the fact that people were mocking me, and I realized that I was just doing that which really serves me. I was doing things that were aligned with my higher values and my overall purpose, and that's a really beautiful thing. I'm able to easier appreciate who I am as a person and make videos about it. And I probably wouldn't be doing that if I was still stuck in the last workplace that I was in. You are the sum of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. I've said it before, and I will keep saying it because it is such a good saying to live by. So do an audit of your relationships every, let's say, 6 to 12 months. Think about who you're spending the most time with and think about how you feel when you're with those people. Do you feel confident? Do you feel like you're being challenged and learning new things? Do you feel like maybe you're outgrowing them? Do you feel like they're dragging you backwards? Do you feel like they're unkind to you? How does your soul feel after you spend time with the people that you currently spend the most time with? And if the answer is not very good, then you need to start either setting boundaries in place or maybe letting the relationship go. When you are able to know yourself deeply enough to know what brings you joy, and you're able to have the discipline to do the things that bring you joy, if you're able to look at your relationships and audit them and figure out if they're really serving you and if you're serving them too, if you're actually adding value to a relationship, and if you're able to be grateful for your life and recognize where you are as a person and where you want to go and be grateful for that journey along the way, you'll be able to massively change your viewpoint on life and therefore change your life itself. Our lives are not handed to us in a small box where we open it and what's inside is what we get. Instead, our lives are an organic, constantly changing and evolving being in and of themselves, and we get to choose what our lives are. We get to choose who we spend time with, what we do day to day, and what our highest purpose is. And by constantly following those steps that I named and auditing your life, you are much more likely to create a life that you really, truly love and that you're excited to wake up to every day. I hope you enjoyed today's video. This is a massive topic that cannot be condensed into a few steps, but those are starter steps that will at least get you to the point where you're thinking about what kind of life you want. And if you follow them really closely and you're able to develop yourself in other areas of your life, you will get to the point where you wake up and you think, I am in love with the life that I'm living and I'm excited about where I am going. Thank you so much for watching. Please hit the subscribe button. Also, you can follow me on Instagram for behind the scenes stories and a closer look at some of the other things that I share day to day. It's The Curated Feminine is my handle there, same as here. And thank you so much to the new subscribers. I cannot wait to make more videos and see you in the next couple of weeks.